this new feature. Hold on for a second. Let me get the volume checked. Let some people get in here real quick. All right, man. It's been a while. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Zone6 coming at you with another video. Now, I've gotten requests to, really kind of stick in with the boxing game and do what it is that we do when it comes to this boxing talk shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stick to it. We got a new feature out on YouTube, man, that allows us to do kind of what Facebook does, and that's have people kind of join you in the guest block. I like that because you could kind of politic with people live in HD. So this allows me personally to be more consistent and stick with my genre. I looked at politics, I looked at rap, boxing. Is all over the place, and I agree. I was all over the place with it on what I was trying to do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build from the ground up. We're gonna keep on talking this boxing shit because that's what people want. That's what people like. So I'm gonna do it like that. Also, I'm an interactive dude. I'm a real person. So what I allow people to do is it's a waiting for guests icon down here. I'm going to go ahead and stream and go live to play with it a little bit so we could get some people rotated in here and things of that nature and, play with the feature. And maybe it's an option on your side that allows you to cook and come in on it. So we're going to do the boxing thing because a lot of people ask me to jump in on it and talk about it. So let's go ahead and get straight to it, man. We're going to get this thing consistently done because I do like this feature. This is way better than StreamYard. Man, that shit is a headache. You guys, if you boxing fans, you know that. It is what it is. So we live in HD. I can see the live timer here. I can see one person in. The thumbs up right there. If you come in, man, just please hit the thumb up like they're asking you to support the video. I see now we got 2 guys here. Please go ahead and hit the thumbs up so we can cook on this boxing shit because a lot of people ask me to go ahead and do it. So without further ado, let me talk some of this motherfucking shit the way Zone6 do it. All right. Man, there's a lot of fuck niggas out here that pretend like they really like boxing. You niggas don't like boxing. You know what I'm saying? So it's time to sling the hammer around, bust some niggas shit wide open, come up here, shake you niggas pockets, and I'm finna make you nigga pay taxes. I'm making you guys pay a fuck nigga fee for what you're saying. So today, because I got so much motherfucking free time today, I'm gonna go ahead and catch up on all you niggas in all you niggas channels. And I'm going to reconnect with Lady Shan and stuff like that. And shout out to her. Shout out to the OG Blood Boxing. And I'm going to start back smashing on niggas and what the fuck they talking about. And guess what? We don't have to do it old school way no more. We don't have to do response videos because you could bring your ass right here live in HD. Just like I've been telling y'all. Everybody know live in HD is my motherfucking slogan. We could pull it up on your front door. You know what I'm saying? Documentation beat conversation. So I come to realize that the boxing groove is my thing. So I'm going to give the people what they ask for because they calling me to come back to these streets. That's what I'm going to do. They asked me. It is what it is. Now, with that being said, let's move some furniture around to make some establishment because I don't like you niggas. So a lot of you niggas are liars. A lot of you niggas are inconsistent with your standard on boxing, and we finna get to that today. My title is exactly what the fuck it says. And this is a question to you guys. I always extend that to everybody. The question is, when we're talking about comparing boxers, regardless of what the case may be, right? We say, what makes a resume of Cotto better than the resume of Oscar De La Hoya? So my question that I pose to the fellas on the round table is in the YouTube boxing community is this. What do you, as a boxing fan, find to be higher in value as it pertains to a boxer's boxing resume in their opponents? Okay. You can also answer the question of what you consider to be a prime for a boxer and when do you think a boxer is at their peak and when you think a boxer is at their lowest? You know, however you design it, whatever you think, it is what it is. It's up to you totally, right? So for me, when I look at a resume and I'm determining the strength of that resume, the first thing I'm going to look at is the combatant on the person's resume a Hall of Famer? That's the first thing. That supersedes any other description or characteristics of said opponent. Hall of Fame supersedes undisputed, multi-weight world champion, two-time lineal champion, two-time undisputed champion. Hall of Fame is the Hall of Fame. So if my boxer that I'm advocating for defeats a Hall of Famer, that supersedes beating a person that has been undisputed. Now, directly after a Hall of Famer, strengthening the resume, I would say, well, how many Hall of Famers did said fighter beat? Okay. You're going to spit out a number. Next thing I would say is, okay, how many undisputed title fights or champions did said fighter beat? Then the next thing I would go to is, okay, with the multi-belt era, the single belt era is always going to be highly valued to me. This is what I text my boys in the background and shit like that. They'll start coming in and out, you know, as we do this thing. But the one belt era is going to hold more value than any other era because it's one belt, is undisputed, and the contenders are consolidated. It's not that you have just an undisputed champion, you have an undisputed number one contender, number two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. There's no WBO, IBF, WBA, WBC, minor title holders, which will give you about a pool of about 45 guys. You know what I'm saying? That's not accurate depiction on the true essence of the competition. Because you can have a guy that's hiding out in the IBF rankings and he does his thing and he only fights IBF contenders. And he could be doing it legitimately, right? You could be ranked top 10 IBF. Okay. And then let's take 147. You could be IBF, right? Ranked top 10. You could be fighting, get your way up, and then you could be number two. Now you're the mandatory for, let's say, Earl Spence at 147. Okay. But at the same time, another fighter can be doing that in the WBO, and they're number one. So my question is, who is the true number one contender and what is the value of that? If you're number one in the WBO and you're undefeated, and you're number one in IBF and you're undefeated, and you're putting pressure on Crawford and you're putting pressure on Earl Spence to fight, no, those two guys to me should fight to see who is truly the number one contender for the result of the Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford fight. So they used to do that when it was an undisputed champion. The pyramid was very narrow. Okay, it wasn't a number one contender here, number one contender there, and it could be mixed up out of a pool of 40 guys that's in the top 10 of each sanctioning body, which is, we know, four. And if you want to include the IBO, that's another 50. You see what I'm saying? It's too many. It's really a top 50. Okay, and the champion or champions, they get to pick and decide out of that top 50 technically, but we never really getting consolidation in the contingency field. That's why undisputed one belt, when Rocky Marciano, as an example, was fighting, I knew who the number one contender was, number two contender, number three contender. Then the strength of schedule slides down for me, okay, with the two belt era, three belt era, four belt era. Obviously, because as you create more belts, you expand the number of guys that have value, therefore making it a lot less valuable. You're diluting the value. Not to say that these guys aren't valuable in life, but I'm saying through the art of competition, through competitive boxing, through professional competitive boxing. So what happens is, if there's an undisputed guy, he's responsible and can pick from a pool of 50 guys if you include the IBO. Top 10 in WBC, top 10 in WBA, top 10 in the IBO. I'm sorry, IBF, top 10 in the WBO, top 10 in the IBO. That's 50 guys. And then a fighter can fight anyone from those top 8, 6, 7, 6. It's all over the place. Meanwhile, those 50 guys are not fighting to crack the top 5 and consolidating anything. You don't even have a legitimate top 1, 2, or 3 in the 4-belt era, in my opinion, based on the art of competition and based on the science of competition. So that 4-belt era, this 4-belt era, is always going to be less valued to me than Undisputed when it was 1 belt. So when you have 1 belt and you're undisputed, I'm going to say that is more valuable than the 2-belt undisputed champion. And it's going to be more then after the 2 belt, it's a 3 belt when we had the WBA, WBC, and then we had the IBF. Okay. Once the IBF got legitimized in 83, was it 83? Then that was what was undisputed. And Marvin Hagler, as an example, he went and collected that IBF belt and he had 3 belts and he was undisputed, right? Mike Tyson, undisputed in the 3-belt era. Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, undisputed in the 3-belt era. But that is not going to, regardless of what you guys say, for me, Mike Tyson undisputed run, which he has 6, is not going to be equivalent to Joe Louis's 25 fight run. Okay. Now we could go in and look at the competitors. Now I know a lot of people talk about Joe Louis and the bomb of the month. Okay, now we can build off that. I have no problem with building off that. But then let's move Joe Louis out the way, and then let's put Muhammad Ali in there. When he beat Sonny Liston, his undisputed run before he got stripped is going to always be more valuable than that of Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua to me, because the belts were consolidated, if that makes sense, right? Rocky Marciano undisputed run is going to always be more valuable than Mike Tyson's to me, because he did it with true #1 contenders. Okay. Now there's nothing wrong and there's nothing bad about going around collecting the 4 belts or the 3 belts, because you could argue that, hey man, you know what? I kind of disagree with that, because a person has to go and collect all the fragments of the belts. Yeah, but they're doing it by picking and poking out of a pool of top 50. It like if a person run through all the, so this would make it balanced for me. If a fighter, say a fighter was to fight 5, the top 5 in the WBA collected belt, then his next 5 fight was the top 5 in the IBO, top 5 in the WBC, IBF, WBO. I would see that being more credible and more valuable, because you're still fighting the top 5 and you're doing the work and you're consolidating the belts a little bit more properly. But we just really truly don't get that, if we were to be honest. You know what I'm saying? We kind of sort of do, but it's not as consistent as the 1-belt era, the 2-belt era, the 3-belt era. It's always going to be diluted as you slide down the pyramid and into the future. And you're going to create more champions under sometimes not so competitive fights. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes the circumstances can be political. Now, there's always politics in boxing. Don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. I'm not saying the 1-belt era, 2-belt era, 3-belt era is void of corruption and politics. Therefore, that's what makes the 4-belt era weaker. No, both of them are ridiculous with politics and scams and schemes and so forth. And so we know boxing don't have a sanctioning, governing, true body to look out for the boxers. We know this is independent contracting work. It's a free for all. You get to do whatever it is that you want to do and create whatever future you deem necessary for yourself as a boxer. I'm not talking about corruption in politics. That's always been in boxing. I'm talking about the art of competition and the road less traveled, as opposed to climbing a bigger ladder as opposed to a short ladder. In the undisputed era, 1 belt that rings more value into a competition about said resume for fighters to me. That's my standard. Then we start talking about linealship and how many titles a nigga won. Because a lot of you guys get on here and say, oh, he is a 18-time world champion. Yeah, but it's 4 belts out there. There's 3 belts out there. Of course, you're gonna have more champions on the back end of history because there are multiple belts. That makes perfect sense to me. If you have multiple belts, you're going to have multiple champions in multiple weight classes in more classes than you had in the old days. Also, you also got to understand this, why Undisputed with the single belt will also have more value for me. Not only are the contenders, the top 10 contenders consolidated into one era in one area, you didn't have that many divisions. You didn't have these transitional divisions as well. When Sugar Ray Robinson was fighting, he had to go from 140, 135 to 147. He had to go from 147 to 160, 160 to 175. There was no cruiserweight. There was no 168 division, and we all know this because when you thinking as a boxing fan, new, old, or indifferent, and you say, yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, 168, we probably looking at Calzaghe, Roy Jones, uh, Andre Ward, and Canelo are probably like the greatest super middleweights of all because that division is young. It hasn't been around that long at all. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't have that knee deep, rich history that 147 has, that 135 has. 154 is a newly created transitional division. So of course, with more divisions and more belts, you're going to have an influx and a rise of multi-world champions and world champions. They are titleist, okay? They are titleist. They will never be as valuable as an undisputed champion or a undisputed number one or number two or number three contender. So, like for me, when Marvin Hagler faced the undefeated John the Beast Mugabe, that bout in that defense of his undisputed 160-pound, undisputed crown is more valuable than Sean. Let me say, Triple G versus a Canelo. Mugabe was a more valuable challenger than Canelo to me. Now, I don't get it twisted. I know there's a perfect balance between accolades and contingency because accolades are flying all over the place now because there's multiple belts, correct? So since we have multiple belts, then the value is diluted to me because there's not a scarcity of it. Is it fair? Absolutely fucking not, maybe. And it gives these boxers a chance to have some type of accomplishment on the back end, but that's a cop out because cream always rise to the top. You know what I'm saying? And if you just didn't make it, you just didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Black Murderers Row is full of guys that were awesome that we love. You know what I'm saying? Charlie Burley, the usual suspects. Just unfortunately that he just wasn't able to make it happen with the accolades or the accomplishments or the belt and the trinkets to match his illustrious career. That's just the way that is. So when we start talking about resume, I'm just not going to I'm not valuing uh a conversation about Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao being multi-weight world champions as opposed to Henry Armstrong, who was simultaneously undisputed in 3 weight classes at the same time, which has never been done in history, and Sugar Ray Robinson, who is undisputed in 2 weight classes and undisputed 5 times at middleweight. Makes sense. You see what I'm saying? That's just not Sugar Ray Robinson and Floyd Mayweather will never like Floyd Mayweather will never surpass Sugar Ray Robinson, no matter how you slice it. Pacquiao would never surpass Henry Armstrong, no matter how you slice it. It's just not gonna happen. It ain't because it's old school and people want to hold on to old ways and not give the young guys a chance, but they have to do something to set a precedent. When you set a precedent, then you make people question, hold on, I don't know the way he did it. Terrence Crawford, Usyk are two guys that are setting a precedent that will push and challenge the envelope of what was done prior to their existence. Okay. Now I know Pacquiao, we can say that he kind of did the same thing, but not really though, because Pacquiao was able to belt hop and he technically never cleaned out a division. He never was undisputed. So that would explain why he have multiple belts in multiple weight classes, because he was able to zigzag through a collection of 50 plus fighters with different sanctioning bodies. Mayweather was able to zigzag. He never was undisputed. Okay, as well. He was able to belt hop and stay on one leg of said belt and or sanctioning body with the path of least resistance. So that's how I look at it. It's going to be Hall of Famer. It's going to be undisputed. One belt, two belt, three belt, four belt in that specific order. Lineal plays a role in there depending on what's going on. And Lineal used to be one and the same when there was one belt. We didn't have to worry about who was Lineal. But now Lineal is more important to track due to the fact that there's four belts and that there were three belts, and those sanctioning bodies split and decide to come up with their own formula, their own people, and the ones who they want to have the belt based on politics, rankings, money, you know how it goes, right? So, with that understanding and with that being established, linealship has to be monitored closely. That could play a role in what is going on as well too. That's a caveat to the rule, because the belts can be fragmented. So usually if a person has attained undisputed or a significant unification bout or bouts, they usually give them the tag of lineal. Okay, to suggest, hey man, they pretty much cleaned this division out. This is the lineal champion. He may not be undisputed, but there's really nothing around here. Like Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford considered to have cleaned out 135. So he was what, unified lineal champion. Obviously at 140, he got all four belts, became undisputed, obviously lineal. Now he's up at 147. He has one belt, pound for pound king, and he's contesting the guy who is unified, but not lineal. Okay. So whoever wins this bout will probably become lineal and undisputed. Right. So Crawford is the person who will be pushing this envelope. And the same thing with Usyk. Usyk was undisputed at 100 and 200 pounds, which is cruiserweight, and he obviously had the lineal chip. So he's trying to attain the same goal at heavyweight. Now that makes something totally different. Then we gotta look at defenses and all that kind of stuff. So that's my opinion and that's my thoughts. And those are my systems and that's my criteria. Just to keep it consistent. And a lot of you guys out here are full of shit and you're bullshitters and you lie and you switch your standard up when you get on the motherfucking camera, when you get on these people's lives, you're in the background talking shit about what you used to do when you ain't shit. You don't know nothing about boxing. Motherfuckers have been getting their ass thrashed in debates. And we know who the king is. We know who the goddamn boss is. We know who shake this bitch down like no other. So for anybody else that feels like they need to challenge your opinion or fuck with my opinion, then you can bring your ass live in HD. And I've been sitting here for 24 minutes and this motherfucker ain't nobody popped up yet. So I want to make sure that we make this clear. Every time I go live, this motherfucker is going to have the block down here for a motherfucker to come on here and challenge my opinion. I'm not one of these guys that don't want to be challenged, that don't want to be interactive. I'm cool on all fronts because I know how this go. We can move furniture around anytime, any place, here how you want to do it. Okay. Don't come over here with no excuses. And don't come over here telling me about your partners and your shit on your channel. Fuck your channel. Fuck you as a debater. Fuck you as a boxing fan. Fuck your boxing knowledge. Fuck your boxing nickname. Fuck your channel. You can't fuck with me. And I'm saying I'm the nigga on here I'm Trill, and ain't nobody. Let me name some names. Ain't nobody can fuck with me. Boxology, you can't fuck with me. You ain't shit. I already smoked your ass in a goddamn debate long time ago. 6 ways to Sunday. You ain't shit. IOTBA, you don't want none of this shit. Whoever else, H Money, I don't give a fuck who you name. Y'all don't want this work, period. All right? Because your standards is shit. You niggas are contradictory of yourself. And I'm Mr. Zone 6, the Flomo killer, and I'm gonna bust your ass coming to a city near you. I'm out. Fuck y'all niggas.